Hey everybody, it's August 29th, 2022. Let's talk about Bitcoin. First up, as always, going to go over what I said last time, which was on Friday. Went over the fact that this area, 21.5 to 22.1, was a danger zone. We saw it tap 21.9 and then drop. Any pump, that previous week I'd been raising cash on, and I'm sitting on 75 to 80% cash. Waiting to buy lower. So for me, I don't really care what the market does. It can tank lower and I will buy, which I think it's going to eventually. Or it can prove a bottom is in and I'll rebuy on a pullback. That's fine too. I've already made quite a bit of money on, not on Bitcoin because it really didn't pump as hard as I wanted it to, but on Ether and some of the other alts. So the equally probable scenarios that we had are still basically the same. We don't have any indication yet which one of these is actually correct. And so I'll show you over here. You can kind of see Bitcoin's action here. But the question really is this initial wave down, is it done right here? Or is this move down an extension of that initial move? And I'll show you what I mean as we get in there a little closer. And then the less probable bear scenario is that all of this leads to lower lows basically. So what I want to point out here though is that if we ended up building the quote unquote correct structure that I said, we would need to be very cautious. And the correct structure would be wave 1 of 3 needs to go to the 618 fib. And I want you to look over here, see where that low happened? Right about the 618 fib. And then if we get a bounce to the 382 for the second wave of a third wave down, which is right here at 20.3, that's exactly where we are right now. And then we see a move down from there. That would be quite bearish. If we see this break down from here, down below, especially if we get down below 17,250, that would be very, very bearish. So I'm not saying for sure that is what's going to happen. I was considering it a less probable scenario based on the macro chart and based on the ETH charts. The alt charts that I'm watching, not all of them, by the way, but some alt charts that have actually proven a 5-wave move up off the bottom. Because of those things, I am leaning towards bottom still being in, but it is something we need to pay attention to, and that is the main reason that I decided to go back into cash and just protect my assets, protect my portfolio as we saw this next move down progress. So just real quick here, I think it is possible, and we have the minimum requirement for this to be a 5-wave move off the low. Okay, that red box right there was the minimum requirement for that 5th wave up within wave 1. Obviously, it's not a great sign that it only struck the minimum requirement, but again, based on some other signs in the market, including some of the altcoins, I am more willing to give it the benefit of the doubt that this is in fact 5 waves up. So then the question becomes, all right, I was expecting from that point a pullback. And if you were following my videos, you know I was expecting a pullback from that red box. I was hoping it would go higher, but it didn't. In any case, pullback from that red box is what I was waiting for. So the pullback that we have seen so far is, as I said, still a bit of a question mark, and we have two possibilities. Possibility 1 was that the initial A wave, this yellow A right here, was done with this 5-wave move right here. Okay, so that is possibility number 1, and that is how I have this, that danger scenario written out, is assuming that then is the first wave down or an A wave. Either way, it'd be a first wave in a bearish scenario though. This then is the second wave up, And then in the bearish scenario, we would be starting the third wave down right now. And that's that, like I said, improbable but still possible bear scenario where we're going down. The next target, honestly, is 16K. And I said, if this begins to form the structure of that, we need to be very careful. And so this move here is very possibly wave one of that move. This wave here up to the 382 can be wave two. We would then see a move down to about the 1236, followed by a bounce, and then one final dump, or not even a final dump, but final dump in the third wave to about 16K. That then would give us another bounce up, and then we'd see a final dump down to about 14.8. But what that does effectively is it goes below 15.7, and that's the line in the sand for the macro bullish picture. If we go below 15.7, I have a very difficult time seeing a macro bullish picture, and I would expect significantly lower lows from that point then. You know, we would still get a bounce, of course, but then basically we'll just continue downwards, is kind of what I expect if that plays out. Now, to complicate matters, I'm going to change this to purple just for clarity's sake. We have this alternate count, which are these purple numbers here. Okay, 1 and 2 are the same, but it's possible that instead of this being 5, perhaps that is only 3. And what that says is we've got 1, 2, 3. This is then 4, and this is the fifth wave down, and that purple box right there is the target for that fifth wave down. So you can see we certainly went into that box and then saw a bounce. So here's what happens in that scenario. If that is correct, what we can expect now is probably to make our way up into this purple box here. That is between the 382 and the 618 fib of this move down, the entire move down so far. Now that does not get us out of the woods. What it does is it gives us, again, two possibilities. We have the bullish possibility where that's wave A, this would be wave B, and we would then get a wave C down, and we don't have a target yet for that, but it would probably be in the 17K area, 18K area, which basically puts us back down here at these lows, and so potentially increases the chances that we get a double bottom, but as long as it holds that area, we could still see a bullish move from that. My preference, which I don't know if we're going to get, but my preference would be, even though this is flashing a warning sign of like maybe something more bearish, my preference would be instead that the yellow count is correct. That is in fact our A. This was simply a very shallow B, and then we can get down here for wave C. This yellow box is the C wave for the yellow scenario. So if we don't see a significant breakdown below that 17,250 area, and instead we get something, especially if it's real choppy, we get some like really choppy dumping downwards like this, that would indicate that that is in fact then the bottom, and we can go up from there. So let's go down onto the micro and see, because this is important too. If this was going to do a very bearish move down, we would really expect to see some clear impulses, and so far we've not seen them. This level here is basically the high, so we'd be looking at trying to see 5 waves down within this move, basically, okay, to get us right to that 618. And looking at this, I just don't see it. It's certainly not formed in a way that says this is incredibly bearish, right? I don't see any way that that can be 5 waves. It would literally have to be like that's 1 and 2 right there, and then it's hard to discern, but maybe 3 and 4 here, and then a really long drawn out 5. But again, it's not really telling me that that is in fact going to start us off on a super bearish move. I do think, you know, we can get down here. That's certainly possible. But like I said, I don't know if that is the structure realistically that we would need to see to break 17K, essentially. Now, since then, we've really only gotten 3 waves up off of the low, which is not surprising in either scenario. Realistically, though, if we were going to get up into this area, this is going to have to turn into a larger ABC. So this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within a diagonal of an A wave, and then from there we'd have to pull back for a B, and then we'd have to do 5 waves up for a C wave up into this purple box. It's certainly possible that that is what we get. So, you know, at this point I really can't give any clear answer as to what exactly we are to expect. What I can say is that if I'm watching this action, let me go back down to the 5-minute. If I'm watching this action, and what I see from here is just kind of like a straight line down to about the 1.0, I'll be buying there. That's going to be my buying zone right there. That's the 1.0 extension. That's where I expect the C wave to bottom in the yellow scenario. If, however, I start to see this take shape as more like a 5-wave move, and we start getting something that looks like this down to 17,250, then any buys that I did in that range, which you know, I probably won't do much buying if it looks like that, but any buys I had in that range, I would probably look to get out on that next bounce, because the next move down would likely take us to that 16K area. So again, I'm really just watching the action to see how it forms, because it does give you a nice window, you know, into what the price intends. Like this action right now, there's nothing impulsive about that. That does not tell me, does not scream bottom to me. That says, yeah, it might go a little higher. Maybe it's got the juice to get up to that box, but if it does, it's probably going to go lower. So that'll be the other thing that I'm watching. If we get an A and a B, maybe I'll scalp along, maybe. But more certainly, this area would be an effective area to short as a scalp down to whatever the new low is from that point, based on a fib extension that we draw, knowing that the purple scenario is playing out. And then as far as, you know, yellow scenario, again, like basically what we need to watch right now, for purple to be correct, we really need to see it stay above that low. You know, once we start breaking down below 19.4, we're in either the bearish scenario or this C wave, yellow C wave scenario, where we're just getting maybe, you know, 18 or so before heading up. So anyway, lots of things to watch. Not really a clear answer on what is to be expected in the short term, but I would say that the bears are giving a warning sign right now. I'm not 100% convinced, like I said, that it's going to break us down to new lows. And this initial move here is really not super impulsive looking either. It's within the realm of possibility, but it's not super convincing to me. Anyway, so hopefully we'll have some clarity on Friday, when I do the video on Friday, whether we get this box or not. If we get that box, I'll draw new targets, but until that time, I'm watching the micro action and trying to make some decisions based on that as to whether or not I want to put my cash back in or just kind of hold off a little bit longer. Because there will be, when the bottom is actually struck, assuming I'm right, that that's a first wave, this is a second wave. Whenever the bottom is struck, we should get a pretty strong signal of a micro impulse coming up off the low. We should see a 5-wave move up off the low. And so far, you know, that hasn't occurred. So that's what we're waiting on. So realistically, even if I don't put my money back in here, the point of me telling you that is I can wait till we see a nice clear 5-wave move, and then put it back in on the pullback after that. And that's fine with me too, because I sold some of it up here. The majority of it I sold on this pump here, right around 22K. And so, I'm more than happy to just wait and say, any pump that happens, it's likely to come back and test that area anyway. So I'm really not losing out on anything. And I just have my insurance policy of sitting in cash in case the more bearish scenario plays out and we see this start cracking new lows. All right. Hopefully that all made sense to you. If not, feel free to pop into Trade Like a Whale Discord group. You can ask me questions in there. I'm happy to clarify anything for you guys. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you get the update on Friday when I do it. See if we have any clarity at that point. And check out the suggested video here as well in the meantime. All right, I'll talk to you guys all on Friday.